out of the blue, I mean, congratulations on this film. Your character, Marilyn, is so deliciously complex. Um, she had me guessing the whole time. I can only imagine how riveting it must have been reading that ending for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely caught me off guard. I remember starting to read the script and feeling like on page 8, oh wow, you've seen this film before, like wow, I've never got sent a film like this, because we don't make those kind of movies really anymore. And so that was really intriguing to me. And I'm a big Neil Labute fan. I think his writing is so particular, and his filmmaking tone is particular, as we know. And so I thought, I don't know, I was like, I'm never gonna do anything like this probably ever again in my life, and I don't know, it felt like also coming out of COVID, and like the idea of this freedom of sexuality and being by the ocean and just like that, whatever this movie, it was like a breath of fresh air at that moment in time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I believe y'all filmed in Rhode Island, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm from Rhode Island.
Oh.
So I didn't know where y'all filmed, and then it took me like maybe 5 minutes in, and then I'm like, okay, this is Rhode Island, which was for me exactly what you just said, except also a little piece of home. And it got me thinking specifically of Newport, Rhode Island, because it's so beautiful. The air is so fresh and clean, yet there's so much history and
Mm-hmm.
there's so much old money and there's a darkness to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about a little bit how that location kind of set the mood for filming.
Oh, it really informed everything, at least for me. I'd never been to Rhode Island before. But you're exactly right. That sort of old money, people set in their ways, those beautiful mansions, that feeling, I'm sure that you can feel a little trapped in those, everybody knows everybody, those kind of circumstances. And yet, you have this impossible dream of like that American dream, the boats and the sailboats and the sweater over your shoulder, kind of, It just definitely influenced the way I saw the character and how, wardrobe. Yeah. Actually, I think the wardrobe designer, it was from there,
Mm.
actually.
Oh yeah, makes a lot of sense. I feel like
Yeah.
I've seen some Marilyns walking around in my day. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit too about how I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, but that Marilyn is fully clothed for most of, or if all of the sex scenes in this,
Yes.
which I found to be really refreshing. I want to know, why was it important for Marilyn to be seductive, yet to not over sexualize her or objectify her in any way, and finding that balance.
I mean, look, every actor is different. When I read this, because it was so obviously sexual, there's always this instinct in me that wants to go against the obvious, I guess, and to be honest, if Neil would have said no, I'm seeing this as really, very nude and very provocative. I probably would have said no, not because I'm a prude, but it's just that's not what I want to do right now, and certainly didn't see it for this movie, and I didn't think that. I mean, obviously it is about seduction and it is sexy and it is about, having that power, especially over a younger guy in a way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to physically, with my boobs out,
Exactly.
embody that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I found it to be so refreshing. I thought it was an excellent choice. I mean, something that
Mm,
I immediately paid attention to, given that we've seen so much of the opposite on
right.
screen before. So I found it incredibly refreshing. And two, like you mentioned, power. For me, it also felt like it made sense for her character. It felt a little bit like a power move. Um,
Yeah.
like I don't need to do this. I don't need
Yeah,
to.
I don't need to show my boobs to make you want to kill my husband.
I'm like,
Right.
yes. Yeah, it was great. In your opinion, what does the truth mean to Marilyn, and what role does it play in her life and her relationships with both Connor and Astrid?
The movie's truly told through her perspective, right? We never get to meet the husband. We don't know that everything she says about her husband is actually true. We don't really know. She's just a gold digger who wanted to get rid of her husband and then is going to get rid of her stepdaughter as well for other reasons. Do I believe that she was in love with her stepdaughter? No, probably not. So I don't know, you can take away from it what you want. It's just like a deliciously complex and layered, amoral kind of role.
Yeah, I think that to your point, having the husband be sort of the shadowed character that we don't see does keep the audience sort of in a little bit of Marilyn's corner the whole time. And what we can, I mean, at least I did, I kept questioning her motives, and I found that I wanted to, for me, like the truth, it's like believing her. I wanted to keep believing her and understanding her motives. And I think that's a testament also to just the way that you portrayed her so beautifully.
Thanks.
You mentioned earlier in the conversation about the tone of the film and the genre and how it's an homage to, classic film and, noirs. Both, I think, on screen and novels, which I liked. I liked that we're all sort of looking for that juicy summer beach read that keeps us guessing. And I liked the whole, the way that books played such a role also in the film. I thought that was very clever. What are some of your favorite noirs, either on screen or novel noirs?
I just love old movies. I just love that, femme fatale, like whether that, I mean, that could be from, The Postman Always Rings Twice. Obviously, there's a huge reference to that in the film. But even, I love like the Casablancas, those love stories, that are not necessarily murder mysteries, whatever, but like, that mystery that is around those female characters and was always created around them. And, in a way, obviously we're trying to do this, but then we're not. Like, I love this particular tone, with the title cards, the chapters, because it kind of makes you feel like, oh, he lets you in on, oh, you've in a way have seen this movie before. Like, we're not trying to reinvent a genre, like this is just, like you say, kind of it's a perfect way of putting it, a juicy read at the beach, with a different twist maybe at the end, if you don't see it coming. But I found, it gives you this odd feeling of familiarity of these characters. Like you feel like you know them, you know what's happening, and then maybe it doesn't or it does not. But there's, I don't know, like you just don't see that anymore today,
Yeah, absolutely. I found, hearing you speak about that, it's so true. From the minute that the film started and you see those title cards, there was a comfort. I was very comforted by it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of classic films. I mean, I grew up, I was talking about this the other day. Like my first crush was Gene Kelly and like Elvis Presley. I was such a weird kid in that way. I loved old movies, and it really informed the way that I view cinema. And I think that we got lost a little bit. Not that we didn't make great movies in like the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, but I think we did lose our way a little bit when it came to that femme fatale character that was so delicious. And now we're kind of finding her again and giving her sort of new light and new breath, which this is what that movie kind of reminded me of.
Cool.